Gojiberry Terri here today, and we are in Frisco, Texas with several visitors today. We have Ginger James, a sous chef, and y'all are familiar with Ginger James. He's a friend, a intern, a superfoodist, intern, a minion. I use that word minion.
Sage in the making.
Sage in the making. A very dear friend and a very great person. And we also have Radish Ryan on the camera. Same thing. He is a super duper videographer. He's started helping us get our videos improved. And we also have Celery Sierra, and we have Steve, and we have Lila. And those are our friends today. And we have permission. Do we have permission to video you in your home? And...
You're filming this? Forget it. No.
It's okay?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
he said it's fine.
Just joking.
Okay, so we're going to do today one of my old recipes, but a really great one. And we're going to tweak it just a little. And this one's going to be in the ebook as well, guys, with a lot of other ones that I don't do on video. But it's one of my favorites because you can make it at the campground. Easy. The only thing that we're going to need to do, because it's kind of colder weather in here, the coconut oil has to be melted, not heated, but melted, because when it's under 78 degrees, it solidifies. And we're going to melt it just a little by putting it in really hot water. And I haven't figured out how to get hot water.
You wait.
Which way, though? Does this go?
Back.
Back? Mm-hmm. Is hot?
Yep.
Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to get it really hot water, and then we're going to melt the coconut oil a little bit. And then once we melt it, we'll be ready to use it. And then we're going to solidify it again by putting it in the refrigerator for a minute so we can make our balls, because I'm going to show you the technique how to do this, to where when you're camping or when you're backpacking, you can put them in your backpack, and as long as you don't get over 78 degrees, they kind of squish up when you do. You'll have a meal. And most of the time when I was off-grid and I was hiking and biking in the mountains, they were my meals. Many times I would just do this before I took off at the campground, and it's so simple to do. There's no cooking, and I was very sustained, had tons of energy and everything while I was camping or hiking or biking. So, hemp hearts. We're going to use a half a cup of hemp hearts, and we've already talked about hemp hearts, but this is another superfood we're going to go into more detail about. Is it getting hot? Okay, this is a half a cup of hemp hearts. We're going to put that in. Okay. Then we're going to put a half a cup of lucuma. And Lila is going to talk to us a minute about lucuma while I'm doing this.
Lucuma is a fruit native to Peru and a close relative to the tropical egg fruit / canistel. The fruit pulp itself is naturally very dry with the maple-like flavor and a thick, rich texture that tastes a bit like cake frosting. It is a low glycemic sweetener and also a thickener for recipes. In Peru, it is valued as a very important dessert component, favored over vanilla and chocolate. It provides many nutrients. Some are beta-carotene, B vitamins, and iron. Lucuma can make your dark chocolate recipes a milk chocolate recipe.
Thank you. Thank you, Lila. That's awesome. Oh, Lila, tell us what happened with your arm on Halloween.
I went into a stunt with my friend, a cheer stunt, and I fell on the concrete and hit my head and my elbow.
So what happened to your elbow?
I fractured it.
You fractured it. Wow. You won't be doing cheerleading stunts on Halloween again, will you? Wow. Well, you'll heal fast if you eat these. The superfoods will heal you fast. And celery juice, amazing. Should be healed in no time. Okay, so that's lucuma. Lucuma is a fabulous fruit. We put in the dried powder. They dry this fruit. It's kind of, like she said, it's a kind of dry pulp to begin with. So we're going to mix that up a little bit. And then we're going to add a half a cup of cacao. James, are you ready to talk to us about cacao?
Yes, I have a few things written down.
Okay,
about
well, while
cacao.
we're doing this, let's let you talk about cacao. And
Just got a little summary here in the book. Okay, so cacao, actually, little did I know, has the highest antioxidant value of all natural foods in the world. Well, at least that we know of. I'm sure there's some South American plant out there that has some amazing.
We haven't found it yet.
Yeah. Cacao is also full of flavonoids, which prevent fat-like substances in the blood from oxidizing and clogging your arteries. So therefore, it regulates blood pressure. It's also rich in magnesium, which is a very energizing mineral, and it is full of electrolytes for rehydrating. And it's also rich in sulfur for stronger nails, shinier, thicker hair, for your liver, for your pancreas. So it's a cleanser and an energizer, if I'm trying to sum up cacao.
Okay, super. Now, here's my little thing that's going to be in the recipe book about raw chocolate or cacao, okay? This one basically is kind of what I deducted
Fermented or unfermented?
We definitely want fermented, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in this book. And don't make the mistake I made and do an 80-day juice fast cleanse and then buy, by accident, the non-fermented, because it is harder to digest, especially for people that have really cleansed out their lymphatic system like I have. And what will happen is you will get a little tummy issue and a little gassy, acidosis we'll call it, issue. Acidosis is that. It's kind of your tummy not digesting as well. And when you've cleansed as well as I have, it's better to get the fermented, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, so raw chocolate or cacao is the seed of a tropical jungle fruit, and it looks much like a papaya pod. It's a pod, and inside it are the seeds, or the hearts, or the nibs of the cacao, And the cacao, the reason, and we're going to talk about that, this was in David Wolf's Superfoods Men of the Future. I don't know if you read this, but the reason that they call it chocolate is because when the British went over into South America, they sailed over in there, they discovered this wonderful plant, this wonderful seed, because the Mayans were eating it like crazy, and they had energy, and they were healthy, and they were running around crazy. And oopsie, and they, the British could not pronounce cacao, so they called it cocoa. This is where we get cocoa or chocolate from. So it's actually cacao. So let's talk a minute more about this. Okay, so the beans are inside, the little nibs, inside this big pod. Okay, large amounts of magnesium, 314% of the RDA in 1 ounce of cacao nibs. The stress relieving mineral, which is in the number 1 mineral, is James, read this. I can't even read my own writing. Please.
Where did you leave off?
I left off at the number 1 mineral. You can't read it either? My handwriting.
In our modern society.
No, the number 1
deficiency.
Deficiency.
It's one word. Okay. The number 1 mineral deficiency in our modern society.
Thank you.
And it also has significant amounts of chromium and iron and vitamin C, healthy saturated fats for building hormones, and no sugar, phenylethylamine,
Which
PEA.
is PEA.
Okay. A substance our bodies produce when we are high on love. Ooh.
We produce pee.
You know why people eat chocolate? We produce PEA. Yes, P.
I don't think that's what causes it.
When you're okay, we have a smart ass in the room. It's okay.
You need to learn how to handle that.
When you are happy, when your serotonin levels are up, It helps with that high feeling, that bliss. You know why people say, oh, I need chocolates when they're depressed? Because it gives you that. Even the cooked chocolate, has some benefit like that. Even that. That's how great this superfood is. So in the raw, can you imagine? Okay, so you get this blissful, happy, in love, elevated PEA. And how do we pronounce that again, James, if you got it?
Phenylethylamine.
Something like that.
That's very smooth.
Okay. What else?
So our bodies produce it when we're high on love or mentally focused on something we enjoy. And anandamine, also an indigenous neurotransmitter that increases our motivation and pleasure from the raw chocolate. It comes from the Sanskrit word ananda meaning bliss.
Bliss.
Theobromine,
Theobromine is a relative of caffeine, but it's not caffeine, but it gives you that energy without the shakes. Did you figure out what it's saying on there? My handwriting is not real great. That's why I've got to have somebody type this up for me.
Ginger. It looks like ginger, but I know it's not ginger.
Let me see. Maybe I can help you out here. Okay. Yeah, theobromine is the much gender axanthine relative to caffeine, which produces an enjoyable, I can't read my writing either, an enjoyable balance of relaxation and stimulation, and also kills 102 types of bacteria in our bodies and our mouths. So it's great for oral hygiene. Raw cacao contains... Are we getting words from the peanut gallery over here?
I need help with my oral hygiene.
Okay, so it's great for oral hygiene care. Raw cacao contains
very
little caffeine or no caffeine, but it has theobromine, which is a relative to caffeine. See, there's the difference.